Osborne. I'm one of the Social Security Disability Law attorneys here at Ginarte, O'Dwyer, González, Winograd. And this week I'd like to introduce my blog about chronic fatigue syndrome. Chronic fatigue syndrome is basically, it's been characterized as a syndrome that causes prolonged fatigue lasting 6 months or more. And it results in a reduction of previous levels of occupational, educational, social, or personal activities. Chronic fatigue syndrome is a systemic disorder that can vary in frequency, duration, and severity. So it's very hard to diagnose. However, there are some distinguishing characteristics, such as fatigue that is persistent or relapsing, that is of new or that is basically of new onset, meaning that it's not a pattern that's lasted for a long time. It can't be explained by another physical or mental disorder, and it's not the result of ongoing exertion. Obviously, if you feel tired after you've worked out, that's not going to be considered as part of the symptoms of chronic fatigue. It's not substantially alleviated by rest. So if you get a good night's sleep and you still feel tired, possibly that you might have one of the symptoms of chronic fatigue. And it results in a substantial reduction in previous levels of productivity on an occupational, educational, or social level. Now, in evaluating chronic fatigue syndrome, the Social Security Administration evaluates it just like any other disorder. Unfortunately, for our purposes, there is no listing, and I've discussed the listings in the past. Listings of impairments are categories of impairments that will almost automatically qualify you for Social Security disability. There is no listing for chronic fatigue syndrome. And so you basically have to go through the 5-step evaluation process to determine whether or not someone has chronic fatigue. Some of the things that the Social Security Administration will look at are the records from a doctor that is a licensed physician. They will look at the way that the doctor has evaluated the condition and whether or not he or she has excluded other possible explanations for the syndrome or the symptoms. And some of the other things that the Social Security Administration will look for are things like opinions from friends or family as to how the impairment itself affects the subject of the impairment, basically you. If you'd like to learn more about chronic fatigue syndrome and how it's evaluated under the Social Security regulations, please take a look at my blog, and if you have any questions, well, hopefully they'll be answered there. Thank you.